Look, wow factors to me are things that you normally wouldn't expect to see in somebody's advertising. Okay, it could be that it's a special 48-hour sale and that these prices will never be seen again, absolutely guaranteed will never be seen again. Or it could be that this weekend only you get free air conditioning with your motor car. A wow factor is something that really stops you in your tracks and you go, wow. It's just as simple as that. I can't explain it any more simply, really. It's just something that makes you go, wow. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise at the end of the day because, well, we're all attracted to attractive things. It's amazing how much advertising is out there in the marketplace where it's just the same old, same old. And I believe that falls into the category which I call wallpaper advertising. Why? Because it doesn't have any punch to it. It doesn't have a gosh factor to it. And my advice to any clients that I have is that, if you haven't got a wow factor, don't bother doing it because you're only going to be out there with the rest of 1,000 other advertisers saying the same thing. Well, retailer Harvey Norman and the 2 years interest-free campaign that we've all heard of, that's been a very successful wow factor. And I know that other retailers, perhaps after that was launched some years ago, have now joined the bandwagon. But Harvey Norman does that very, very well, 2 years interest-free. Another wow factor to me would be the one that Jetstar Airlines started with. Back many years ago when they started, they created a brand virtually overnight by coming out with 100,000 seats for just $29. And at that particular time in the airline business, no one had ever offered $29 airline seats. And Jetstar created an image in everyone's mind overnight that they were an airline with great value seats by coming out with that wow factor offer. Another example would be Woolworths and Coles supermarkets. We're all very familiar with their petrol savings offers. When you shop at the supermarket, you get so much discount off your petrol. That's got a wow because it's dealing in a currency value that we all understand, petrol. And the beautiful thing about that is petrol is universally appealing to all ages. With election campaigns, one would think, is there any wow factor in political campaigns? Well, I'd like to say that there is because whilst most of them have been boring, one that stands out in Australian political history to me is the Gough Whitlam one of 1972, I think it was. Why? Because it had lots of wow factor behind it. And anyone over the age of 35 would probably remember the campaign called It's Time by the Labor Party. The Labor Party very cleverly marshalled the support of lots of actors and television personalities and celebrities and got them to sing the jingle, It's Time, and of course the rest is history. The Labor Party won that election pretty easily, and I think that political campaign goes down in history as probably the most successful in Australia. Why? Because it had lots of wow factor behind it. You've got to put science with it. In other words, if you mix scientific logic with a wow factor, then you normally end up with an explosion of sales. That's the theory, okay? You've got to put science with the gosh factor, okay? And I guess what I'm talking about is specifically detailing who the target audience is, what they look like, where they live, what sort of habits they have. What I tend to do these days is use geodemographic mapping, and I guess, well, what's that? It's census data enabling us to zero in geographically to where the clients live. So if it happens to be that, for argument's sake, a shopping mall has a demographic profile that they're targeting, which are predominantly women over a certain age, then what we do is that we grab the census data, we plot where those people live, and then we go out and hit them with, letterbox brochures or whatever form of communications. Okay, their whole idea is to create the wow, but then zero in on that particular geographic region so that you're getting a cost-effective result. So it's not a matter of just having a wow factor, it's a matter of being able to put specific scientific logic with that wow factor to make sure that you've got the whole box and dice. Well, look, an industry which I think lacks real wow factor is the financial services industry. And I think I'm relatively, well qualified to say that because one of my clients happens to be a building society. It's in the top 500 private companies in Australia, according to the BRW magazine. And I think the innovation that this particular building society has brought to the table in terms of marketing tactics in recent years shows that it is quite different from the rest of the industry. It's multiplied its home loan acquisitions and its investment accounts quite handsomely using wow factor techniques. The advertising for this particular society, it's called the Greater Building Society, is quite unique for the financial industry. With regards to their home loans, if you get a getaway home loan from the Greater Building Society, you get a free holiday.
Get a home loan from the Greater Building Society and choose yourself a free holiday. No catches, no competitions. Call the Greater on 13 13 86.
For me and you.
And the results over the years that this has been running have been quite spectacular. They've certainly increased their home loan portfolio considerably as a result of this wow factor. And when you think of it, you know, if you had to get a home loan and interest rates were basically on par with 3 or 4 options that you have, where would you go? Would you go to the financial institution that gives you the same interest rate and a free holiday, or would you go to the one that just gives you the home loan? I think I know which one I'd go to. So you can imagine, it just takes the decision-making process away from the consumer. They've got nothing to think about. You know what, it's not rocket science. It's just very simple thinking. People are attracted to attractive things, so give them something attractive that's going to make them say, wow. As far as the rest of the financial industry is concerned, I'm amazed at just how pedestrian most of their ads are. You're probably aware of the fact that the Greater Building Society now has Jerry Seinfeld, the world famous comedian, fronting their advertising. Boy, that has wow. The Greater Building Society received millions of dollars worth of free publicity overnight when that campaign launched. Every news program, every morning show, pretty much every piece of media in Australia was all over that story. Why? Because it was wow. Who would have thought that an Australian building society would have an iconic celebrity like Jerry Seinfeld fronting their ads? And when I put that deal together for the Greater, I had a pretty good feeling that that would hit the industry with a lot of publicity. Never in my wildest dreams did I think it would be as huge as what it was, but even before the campaign started for the Greater, they had received millions of dollars worth of free publicity. Why? Because Jerry Seinfeld brought a massive amount of wow to the campaign. And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, obviously not everyone can have Jerry Seinfeld fronting their campaigns. That is the wow of all wows, there's no question about that. But that is just another example of how you can make your brand stand out from the crowd. At the end of the day, people are attracted to attractive things, so give them something attractive. It's no surprise to me when I see the petrol offers at Woolworths and Coles being very successful. Why wouldn't that be successful? You know, if I had to go and shop somewhere for my groceries, I would go somewhere where I'm going to get petrol savings versus somewhere where I would just get my groceries. It's just common sense. If you're going to get a benefit from someone, more than likely that will be the business or the product that you support.